What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. On today's video we're comparing two up-tempo, possibly race day, but probably more like fast workout running shoes. We're going to be comparing the Reebok Floatrite Energy X with Mizuno's Wave Rebellion. Now this is actually going to be a pretty good comparison because in both instances, this is kind of like a first time for both companies coming out with shoes like this. This is definitely the most race-inspired shoe that Mizuno has, and the Energy X is arguably the fastest shoe that Reebok has made. I've been running in both these shoes for quite a while. I've put a good number of miles in both these shoes. I've done intervals, I've done easy runs, I've done tempo runs, so I've got a good idea how these shoes perform. So first of all, I'm going to go into some of the specs of both these shoes, and then we're going to talk about how they perform on the run. But let's start off with price, because when we get into shoes like this, these up-tempo trainers, these shoes that kind of sell themselves on performance, the companies tend to kind of push the price a little bit, and the Wave Rebellion and the Energy X are no exception. Now we're not talking super shoe prices, but that's a good thing because these are not super shoes. Don't let anyone tell you they are. Now these shoes definitely have a place in your lineup, and if you didn't have one of the super shoes, you know, those shoes that cost $250, these would actually work very well for racing. But in the whole world of running shoes, these are definitely better suited to kind of an up-tempo workout. Mizuno's Wave Rebellion comes in at $180 compared with Reebok's Floatrite Energy X at $170. So the Mizuno is $10 more, but really that's close enough. Now usually you can find some pretty good deals on Reeboks, and Reebok has historically offered additional deals for students, teachers, first responders. However, they are not allowing those discounts for the Floatrite Energy X. They're also not allowing those discounts with the Floatrite Energy 4s, so perhaps that's something we're going to see from Reebok moving forward. No deals until their shoes get a little older. Reebok claims that a men's size 9 weighs in at 9.1 ounces or 258 grams, and Mizuno claims that a men's size 9 weighs in at 8.8 ounces or 249 grams. So Mizuno wins this round because their shoe is 9 grams less. However, when you get up to my size, the difference becomes even smaller. But the funny thing is that they change places. So in Reebok, I wear a men's US size 12, and in my size, the Energy X weighs in at 10.7 ounces or 302 grams. With Mizuno, I wear a US men's size 13, and in my size, the Wave Rebellion tips the scale also at 10.7 ounces at 302 grams. So in my size, the Energy X weighs 1 gram less, even though in ounces, it's exactly the same. Hey guys, if you're enjoying the video, if you like hearing about running shoes and comparing them, I'd love it if you gave this video a thumbs up. Of course, if you're not subscribed, consider doing that too. It really helps me, helps my channel a lot. The Reebok Energy X has 28mm in the forefoot, 34mm in the heel for a 6mm drop. The Mizuno Wave Rebellion has 28mm in the forefoot, 36mm in the heel for an 8mm drop. So 8mm drop, 6mm drop. That's not really an area that we can call a winner, personal preference. Let's talk about sizing. Sizing's a bit different. The Mizuno Wave Rebellion, I find, runs true to size. The Reebok Energy X, just like all other Reeboks, I find runs a little long, and I have to drop a whole size in Reeboks. That's the reason for the size 13 and size 12. There's another funny thing with sizing that's going to cause some people some problems. Now, while the Wave Rebellion is available in all sizes and half sizes, the Reebok Energy X is only available in full sizes for men and half sizes for women. So if you did want to buy the Energy X, I suggest buying a couple of pairs, checking the return policy first, but buying a couple of pairs and finding out for yourself which size fits best. Both the Mizuno Wave Rebellion and the Reebok Energy X feature plates, and I have to say it like that because the plates are completely different. The Reebok Energy X features a carbon fiber plate, but it's only a 4-foot carbon fiber plate, so it kind of sits right around here. The Mizuno Wave Rebellion features a glass fiber plate. Now it's a bio-based glass fiber made with castor beans and nylon and reinforced with that glass fiber. Is that the same as fiberglass? But on the Wave Rebellion, that is what you see right here. That's that hard piece of glass fiber right in the middle of the foam. Now we're going to talk about foam in just a second, but let's start at the top of each shoe and work our way down. The Mizuno Wave Rebellion features a very thin tongue. It is gusseted, but I start off with the tongue because this is probably my primary complaint of the Wave Rebellion, and that is how big the tongue is. Can you kind of see it sticking up there? It kind of pulls out. It doesn't look like this when the shoe's on your foot and you're running. I find that the tongue actually hugs nicely and kind of wraps under the sides of the shoe, and you don't notice it, but the tongue does just stick up just a little further. Now, in defense of the Wave Rebellion, this has no bearing on how the shoe feels. It actually feels very good. The Wave Rebellion has a medium padded heel collar. It's very nice, provides plenty of padding. I was actually surprised to find out that the Wave Rebellion is about the same weight as the Energy X, just because with all this extra padding around the heel collar, I thought it was going to make it a bit heavier. The heel counter on the Wave Rebellion is like a rock, and all that serves to really lock your heel in when you slide it into the shoe. The upper is a one-piece engineered mesh. It's very breathable, and I really like the styling that Mizuno has gone with. There are no overlays on the Wave Rebellion, not even on the eyelet chain. If you look closely on the eyelet holes, you can see a little bit of reinforcement around the actual hole, but on a lot of shoes is we have an overlay following the whole eyelet chain. The Reebok Energy X actually looks a lot lighter and a lot faster than the Mizuno Wave Rebellion, but looks aren't everything. Again, we'll start with the tongue. The Energy X has a lovely thin, I don't know, kind of racing tongue. There is a small bit of padding right down the middle of the tongue, and that stops the laces from biting into the top of your foot when you cinch them down. A big difference between the Energy X and the Wave Rebellion is in the heel collar. You can see here, this heel collar is extremely thin right at the top, and we have a little bit of strategic padding right on the inside. And just like on the Wave Rebellion, the Energy X has a very firm heel counter. And again, I didn't have any issues with heel slip wearing the Energy X, which might be surprising to some seeing how limited the padding is. If Reebok has done well, they've put the padding all in the right places. Reebok is using their Flex Weave upper. It's kind of like a woven textile, but it's made with 30% recycled or repurposed materials. And it's very stiff feeling. If you just pick up the shoe and you kind of run your hand over it, it doesn't exactly feel very good. A bit like a burlap sack. But don't let those feelings push you off, because the shoe is actually very comfortable. And when your foot is in it, you don't notice the feeling of the upper material on your foot. The best thing about that Flex Weave upper is that it is very breathable and dries very quickly when it's wet. It's almost got like a plasticky feel to it. And while I have to say I don't actually like how it feels on my fingers, I really like how it looks, and I really like how it performs. Again, we have very minimal overlays on the Energy X, but we do have an overlay running down the eyelet chain just to give that little bit of extra support when you cinch down those laces. And if you look closely, you can also see an overlay starting about here and then coming up around the heel counter and then coming back down the other side. This overlay just gives the Flex Weave upper a little bit of structure so it doesn't collapse. Without this, I imagine it would kind of sag a little. Reebok has found great success using their Floatrite Energy foam, and we have a big slab of it on the Energy X. I've got to say, it's a nice foam. The Floatrite Energy foam is a TPE foam, and that's where they combine lots of little beads together to make the foam. Got this little bit of heel flare right at the back, which is aesthetically pleasing. I like it. I like the way this shoe looks. Kind of looks like a sports car, if a sports car was a shoe. While we're on the Energy X, let's go down to the outsole. And you can see we've got quite a lot of coverage for the outsole rubber. However, the outsole rubber is extremely thin. As I'm looking at it now, I'd say that's about, I don't know, a millimeter of outsole rubber. And then we've got this nice big cutout exposing the midsole foam, which saves a little bit of weight. I haven't run into any problems with grip, and you can see there are little nodules on this outsole rubber, which I guess just give a little extra grip. As far as wear goes, you can see I'm starting to wear down on my outside heel. And again, in the middle of the forefoot, I can see it's just wearing down. The little nodules are getting down to almost nothing. But I haven't started wearing down the outsole in these little windows yet, so I've got plenty of distance still left in these shoes. The Mizuno Wave Rebellion is using Mizuno's Energy Light foam, and we have two pieces of Energy Light, and they sandwich that glass fiber plate right through the middle. And again, the Energy Light foam it's a solid foam. Now, in the beginning, when I first put the shoe on, I did find it a little stiff. However, when you're trying to pick up the pace, you kind of want a firmer ride. But the funny thing is that firmer ride got a little softer as the runs went on. And now it's about the firmness that I don't even notice it when I take it out, which is a good thing. The outsole on the Wave Rebellion is Mizuno's G3 PU resin outsole. Basically, they pour this resin onto the material, which you can see between the lugs, and this provides excellent grip while saving weight. And you can see by looking at this outsole how much coverage we have, and the lugs are pretty beefy. We have this big cutout exposing the glass fiber plate. I think Mizuno has a little room to save just a little more weight by removing a little of this outsole. This amount of outsole and the durability is going to make this shoe last a long time. In fact, I do not see any wear on the outsole, not on the back of my heel where I'd be heel striking, not on my midfoot. It's actually quite remarkable that I don't see any wear. So those are the specs. How do these shoes perform? Well, with both these shoes, I have taken them out. I have run easy runs, I've run intervals, I've run tempo runs, and I fully expected both of these shoes to work well when I'm running faster. However, what was surprising is how good they feel when I'm running easy. The Reebok Energy X feels just a tad softer than the Mizuno Wave Rebellion, but the Wave Rebellion seems to give me a little more road feel than the Energy X. Now, the Energy X does have a carbon fiber plate in the forefoot. This has a full-length glass fiber plate. However, neither of the shoes give you that feeling of propelling you forward. Or I shouldn't say it like that. I should say that neither of these shoes give you the feeling of propelling you forward more than any other shoe. So perhaps I'm making an unfair comparison against some super shoes that really feel like that energy is coming back into your foot and moving you forward. Both the Energy X and the Wave Rebellion feel great. They do feel fast, but I'm not sure what's missing enough to say that they don't feel race fast. However, if up until this point you have been running in a daily trainer, something a little heavier, then I would say that these shoes are going to feel extremely fast for you. I have been wearing both these shoes for a couple of months, and I have to say that the Wave Rebellion feels a little faster on my foot than the Energy X. Okay, now while you're looking at these shoes and you're thinking, man, I need to buy a fast pair of shoes, I want to get one of these. What I was most surprised at out of both models is how good they feel when running easy. They actually feel remarkably good. They feel like they were made to run easy as well, which is high praise. Because if you've run in some of those super shoes, you know that when you're running easy, they just don't feel good. They feel unsteady. And in fact, both these shoes are extremely stable. But if I had to pick one that is a little more stable, I would also go with the Mizuno Wave Rebellion, probably because of that full-size glass fiber plate running through. I think that just disperses the energy a little more and leaves the foot feeling a little firmer on the ground. As far as looks go, I prefer the Reebok Energy X. Now, this is only available in this colorway. The Wave Rebellion is available in 4 different colors, but there's just something about the upper on the Energy X that makes it look really nice, and that counts for a lot. As far as resiliency goes, I'm gonna have to say that the Wave Rebellion is going to last you a little longer. Now, I have to remind you about the price. The Wave Rebellion is $10 more than the Energy X, but looking at the wear on this outsole rubber, if you wanted to keep the Wave Rebellion for 400, 500 miles, I wouldn't be surprised if it's still holding up after that time. The Reebok Energy X, I don't know, that's a thin layer of rubber on the bottom, and I am going to estimate 250 miles maybe. So let's wrap this up by saying that if you had the choice of both of these shoes, even though the Wave Rebellion is $10 more, I think it represents a better value. Now remember, in the men's size 9, the Wave Rebellion weighs 9 grams less than the Energy X. Also remember that the Energy X is using a carbon fiber plate. Now it is just in the forefoot, like I said, but it's still carbon fiber. So if you've got something about carbon fiber and you don't want glass fiber, the Energy X may be the shoe for you. I get it. It sounds silly when I say it out loud, but I get it. We have been conditioned over the last couple years to want carbon fiber in our shoes. And of course, I will provide links to both these shoes in the show notes below. Thanks for staying all the way to the end of the video. If you guys have run in either of these shoes, or if you have another up-tempo shoe that you like the best, let me know what it is in the comments. Be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple days.